Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Fans Forum tonight. We've got Andy and Atanu, a couple of regulars on the show. How you doing, guys? You okay?
Yeah, man, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, John, for having me on.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. And we've got John. We'll call him John for tonight because it's John and John, but we'll just go for John at the moment to see how long that lasts for.
Two Brummies, isn't it? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's How you doing, John? You okay,
yeah.
mate?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm the noob of the chat shoot noob. So, yeah, thank you for having me on. That's brilliant.
Yeah, look, anyone who's watching this, go on, sorry.
Feel at home with the accent.
Yeah,
I'll feel at home with the accent. So I was going to like we was talking about, all we need is Chloe on now. We're sorted.
Yeah, Chloe, the Aston Villa supporter from Hales Owen. Yeah, let's get her on. You might recognise John Ball from Twitter and in the comments as well. So it's great. Thank you, John, for actually coming on to the show. A lot of people are.
No, thank you for inviting me.
No, it's great. And this is what we want. We want as many people as we can, especially on the fan forum, to have your say. So it's a great opportunity to have your first YouTube show. We all know.
Thank you.
We all know how it all works. It's we all bring our own topics to the table. We'll discuss a few comments in the comments. And we'll go from there. Karen's already in here. Hello, Karen, as always. She hasn't got the Black Country accent, but she does live our way, at least, in the Birmingham area. And John Fry, as always, being here from day one. Hope you keep it well, John. But John, before we get started, obviously this is your first show with us. Tell us a little bit about your background with Man United women's team and also who your favourite players are, favourite moments. Let's just try and get a bit of an idea about yourself.
Yeah. I mean, like many fans of the women's team, I got into it as I was falling out of love with the men's team. The way it was, obviously the club was being run, the way it was being, I felt like there was a massive disconnect, especially pre-Ollie, with the actual players and everything. And I used to have a season ticket. I was out in the Ace stand, and as my health deteriorated and as I got more and more fed up with the football that was on show, it's like and the idea of giving Glazers more money, I just stopped my season ticket. And right then, and I happened to start cashing the highlight, like the little highlight clips on the app, United app, in their first season in the Championship. It was like, kept watching a little bit, and I sort of grew it from there, really. And I sort of got really, by the end of that season and into the next season, when I really started taking a big notice and actually learning who the players were and more about the background of the players and everything like that. So, yeah, it's and obviously there is a stigma around female football. There shouldn't be, but there is, and there's. I've had a couple of, shall we say, debates on Twitter about people's opinion of women's football. So I just grown from there. And obviously, I got to know you guys and watching the channel, and and I feel more excited about women's football now than I do about men's football. Although it is coming back with some of the stuff that they're doing now, but I like the connection you get with the players, and though it's the same club, it feels different. I think is the big thing. Players-wise, I mean, my two favourite players, I'm like John Fry. I was a massive ABT fan, so that's a gut wrench straight away.
Yeah.
And Jackie, really, I think probably because I was only getting into that first season of the WSL, I was catching less and intermittent. I didn't have that she's not quite the player we thought we were. Whereas the second season, it was like I watched it from the start. It was like, wow, what a player! Doesn't matter what
There's that clip on today that they're about Jackie with missing out on the Olympics. She's got her hand, she looks really devastated with that loss today.
She's in tears. There's another clip going around where she's literally blubbing her eyes out, which is kind of what you want out of
Another United player suffering at penalties.
But she's a great winner, isn't she? And a lot of people want her as a captain, and maybe she will be the future captain, and maybe that's what she needs to get that new contract. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start the show then. Andy, we'll start off with your topic. I think it's a real good one at this point in time as well. So let's go for yours, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it links back to what John was saying about Twitter. I mean, God love it, eh? You know, we would all have nothing to do without Twitter, wouldn't we? But Christ, I mean, you know, honestly, depending on if you looked at, Rise are going to be relegated next year. Rise are going to be same old. The girls have got no money to do anything, and they're basically you know, it's a load of rubbish. So what I've gone for is 5 reasons to be cheerful. Because actually, I think, to be honest, there isn't that. You don't have to dig that far to find them. Now, what I'll probably do is I'll just listen and give a little bit of a brief, and then we can obviously all jump in and see if you guys agree or not. Yeah. But I mean, the first one is new manager, new start. Now, obviously, I appreciate that, you know, Casey was well loved by the fans. I loved her as well. You know, home and away. You know, followed them when we could before COVID. But it's not a deity. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if it was, we would try and treat the women exactly like the men's. When a manager leaves, a manager has left. We wish her well. We hope it's great. But I agree with what Matt was saying in the special show that you guys did earlier in the week. Don't compare him to Casey. You know, this is our manager now. And to be honest, there's a lot of good things. You know, if you think about the fact that Casey, it was her first managerial role. Mark Skinner's been to 2 clubs already. He already had Orlando in the playoffs, which, from what we know from Marty last week, is actually quite an achievement in itself. He's apparently known for bringing in youth, which is exactly the United way. Because one of the things that Casey did do, she brought in youth to sit on the bench for 90 minutes. So, I mean, I definitely would like to see some of our devs getting some time at the end of the season. All right, towards the end of the last season, a couple did get a game, but it was more. It wasn't really what I would class as bringing in youth. But I think, you know, and I think that he's got a point to prove. He wants to stay because of his young child. He wants to stay in the WSL because obviously the commuting was getting to his family apparently. So he needs to make it work with us apart from anything else. And I think, you know, he's got the skills to bring us forward. And, you know, and sort of similar kind of thing to that, I would say, let's not keep thinking, oh, it should have been so and so. It should have been so and so. It's Mark Skinner. That's who it is. And, you know, hopefully, you know, if people are buying into him, I very much only really watch, great point by Vicky there. You know, Casey is doing exactly what Mark did. But I generally only watch Man United women now. But I remember seeing Birmingham's last game before he went to Orlando. And anyone would think he was like going off for a major surgery. Like the whole team was bereft and ran up to him at the end of the game. You know, you can't fake that. So unless he's massively changed from his time in the NWSL, then, you know, I think we've got a lot of good things coming with that manager. And as long as he engages with us as well, then I think, you know, it's a good chance. You know, and just to give you the sort of headlines for the rest of it, because I appreciate I've gone into a bit more detail there than I thought I would. Our defence, you know, Hannah Blundell, you know, let me introduce you to Amy Turner, but a bit younger with some honours. You know, I mean, she has won 10 different club honours while she was at Chelsea. And she's also got a winning mentality, by definition, by being under Emma Hayes. And, you know, that was definitely so. How strong is our defence going to be this year? Return of fans, you know, just over a month's time. All right, I appreciate it, Tana. Apologies, I appreciate you in India, but the majority of us will be in the stadium. And not only will that be great, and, you know, a lot of us have really struggled with lockdown, you know, we were already heads above the rest, in my opinion, in relation to the support we gave our players. Can you imagine what it's going to be like because it's been 2 years since we've been there? You know, I reckon that we could add another 5% to the 10% we were already adding, you know. And the final 2 points, I think, is I was just going to bring up, we'll just throw it open then, is the Conti Cup. Yes, it's a joke that Man City are coming in late. It makes a mockery of the whole thing. Same with Chelsea. I get the arguments, for and against, but it gives us a chance to get a cup run going and at least get into the quarters. Of course, we can beat City on the day. We've done it before. I'm not saying
Sorry, guys, can you guys hear me? Because my screen's absolutely frozen.
I can hear you, John.
Sorry,
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Was that a
I
problem?
can hear you, Tanu, as well.
Yeah, I do apologise for that. I don't know if Andy's gone off and come back on. Yeah, I really am sorry about that. That's the first time I think I've dropped internet, but a few people have gone out and come back in again. So it looks like it's okay again now. Let me just add Andy back in.
I don't know what was going on. Don't know what was going on there, guys. What did you?
I think it might have been my fault. It's never happened before, but I think I just dropped. I think I just dropped out, and because I'm winning the stream, I think it might have.
What was the final? Did I get what was the last thing you heard from me?
The last bit from me was I think you went on to the fourth point.
Yeah, just quickly then, because I appreciate we lost some time. So fourth point was just basically Conti Cup, as I was saying. I appreciate it's a joke that City get to go in late and what they've done with Chelsea as well. But you can only play the rules that you're given, and it gives us a chance for a cup run. It gives us a chance to bled some players in. It gives us a chance to shake some of those ghosts. Our first game won't be against Man City, which seems to be the thing that the FA like to do every time we play a cup game. It gets us to play Durham again, and trust me, if you think Liverpool versus United is fun, wait till you see United versus Durham, because that is very much a good rivalry.
Yeah.
And also the final thing I would say is Martha Thomas. I was quite. I don't really know much about her. I don't remember being particularly scared of her when we played West Ham. So I was thinking, well, is she that much of a threat against on goal? But what I would say to everybody is listen to those little interviews that they do. They're very pretty and all this kind of thing, but they're actually quite useful. And one of the things that she said, and it's a very minor thing, but I noticed it, it said, I'm really glad I can play my type of football again at United. It's a very subtle little thing.
She was on about getting to enjoy her football more. I picked up on that. I thought that was a massive something really that's come out on that interview.
So what does so actually is she more of a strike? Is she more of a goal scorer than her stats say? Was she constrained with a more defensive outlook? That with her previous manager, and is she going to have the essentially the things let off, and she can just do what she wants with United? So they're sort of the five that I thought we would start with. So just to summarise, new manager, new start, sorted the defence, return to the fans, Conti Cup, and listen to content, Martha Thomas.
Awesome. Well, if we can start off with the manager then, because obviously we've done a couple of shows about the new manager, but we haven't heard your thoughts on that just yet. So, Tony, let's just start off with yourself. So obviously we kind of knew that it was going to be Skinner, but it's all been announced now. What were your thoughts when it got announced, Tony?
I mean, there were options, of course. People have said that there would have been better options, but I think Mark Skinner has that WSL experience when he managed Birmingham City back in 2016 to 2019. So, I mean, the way fans are portraying him as a bad manager, he isn't a bad manager. I mean, he was doing something good at Orlando. Of course, it takes time to implement a particular system whenever you go to a new team. And due to the pandemic, also the NWSL wasn't going on. So of course, the progress wasn't there. But at the same time, yes, fans are have their own opinions, and that's fine. But I think I'm happy that he's been finally appointed as the new manager, so we can build up on the preseason and build up to the WSL and go for a title charge maybe.
Yeah, go on, John. What are your thoughts?
I think I'm with everybody. I think there was more popular names and names that were much more shiny to most fans, like the Maria Prize and can't think of the Barcelona manager's name, but I believe he turned us down anyway. Yeah, so there's lots of shinier items out there. But I got when they were talking about Quinton Fortune possibly being the manager, I started thinking about, well, actually, we want a good coach. We've got quite a young team. Obviously, it's a new team to the WSL, but it's quite a young team as well. We need a good coach because that's how we're going to develop our players. We're not going to buy the Bunny Shaws and all these big names that everybody seems to want. We're going to do it what we've always done, which is buy the good players and develop them further. And I think that's actually a really good thing. I think we've tried doing the Glory signings with the Toby and Press signings, and I was as equally as excited as everybody else. But at the end of the day, there were short-term fixes. They didn't fix the problems we had. And to be honest, I was underwhelmed by Press. I was a much bigger Toby and Heath fan. I know people said Press got better towards the end of the season. I was thinking, really? Are we saying that because of a name or because of the footballs she played? And I think that was more because of a name, because everybody loved those. Don't get me wrong, I loved her, and I think they were committed to the team and they tried their hardest. I just don't think either Casey suited her or the football suited her. Because let's be honest, I've started to watch a little bit more of the American League, and the defending there is total. There's a reason why strikers love there, and that's their defence. It reminds me a bit of the Bundesliga, where brilliant going forward, not so great defensively, and it produces exciting football, but I don't think that's necessarily always a true test. The other thing I think is we want players that are committed to playing for United. We want players who want to stay here. So I've got no problem with. I'm glad James has left. She doesn't want to be here. As much as she's got the potential to be whatever she wants, I don't want her here. If you want to go and leave the club for whatever reason, go. I was the same about Ronaldo when he left. If you don't want to be at this club, I'm not bothered with you. Simple as. And that might be harsh and cold, but I think most people, especially my age and further, we're used to supporting the club, not the names and the individuals. Because I think the best player, the player that I remember that went through generations for me was Robbo, and I love the guy. But most times, we didn't have this long a group of players that stayed for a long time. That's not most normal clubs. So I didn't mind going. But you think Bo Risa, Man United fan. Yeah. Ashada, they're talking about Man United fan. I like the fact they're bringing in players that are committed and want to bring in. And if you listen to Sophie Bagley, really liked her interview. She's not here to be number two. She's not here to sit down. She wants to be number one. And what did we want? We wanted lots. Part of that was to sort of push Mary Earps. She's going to do that. And if we go back to Mark Skinner, the crap that he's getting because of his win percentage, I like the fact he had faith in himself. So even when it was going badly, he didn't panic. He didn't suddenly change everything. He didn't go, right, then I'm going to do this, this, and this. He stuck to his guns. And then you see Orlando Pride actually benefiting from it. So I like that. I like the fact he's a coach. I think I get the idea Casey was more of a manager. Yes, she coached, but her talent was in her management. Whereas I get the feeling from the little bits I've heard about Mark Skinner, and when you've listened to him, his talent is in coaching, what his players get from him, and I like that. So I was prepared to think about Quinton Fortune as the manager. I didn't really think he was the right man, but he's a coach, and we've got a young team, and we need them to coach.
Andy, John's picked up on a lot of good points there. Do you want to kind of jump in on any of them at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, I know what you're saying about the NWSL, but the United States defensive national team isn't exactly known as being poor either. So they must get them from somewhere. But I know there is a different style there. I think, I think there's probably a lot of crossover with what we're saying. I mean, it is apparently a different kettle of fish coaching women than men. Apparently, it's just a different way of doing it. No better, no worse. It's just from what I've seen, like people like Phil Neville get interviewed and people that have coached in the men's game and the women's game. I'm glad, as I said, that we stuck with a coach that has experience in the women's game. I wouldn't have liked Phil Neville, which was possibly another one that was being barraged around because, not only is he not that experienced apart from with England women, he actually openly said, well, it's kind of a stepping stone to get to the men's, which immediately, kind of X'd him off my list in that respect. But I'd say I appreciate with the technical problems. I mean, we look at the other points as well. I mean, I was just saying, what do you think? Obviously, you're like me, John, John Foster, just two Johns now, isn't there? I really do believe that us being back in the stadiums and us following them again is going to have a massive effect after the last 2 seasons without fans.
Yeah.
I just see what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, let's talk about this because we haven't been there for ages, and we where we stand, we're loud, but I think we're going to be louder all the way through 90 minutes. As soon as we see a player come out, or even before they even come, when they're warming up, I think the difference this time will be, at least for the first few games, until maybe the novelty wears off a little bit. But for me, I think we're going to go 90 minutes non-stop, even before they, when they're training, at the start. So I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. The players know this, but I did mention this a little bit earlier as well. There's going to be a lot of players that's going to be playing on that opening game that's never played in front of us before, not just this year's signings, but last year's signings as well. So, yes, they're going to be up for it. They know what to expect. Man United players know what to expect when they come to United. They all talk about the fans, and if they don't know what to expect, literally within a day, they'll know. So how they're going to react to it, I'm not too sure. Hopefully they'll be buzzing and they'll be, we are that 12th player. But the players will thrive off us, and I know it will. I can see you nodding, Andy, but let's bring Atani in as well. I mean, you watched on the FA player, I'm guessing. It's just a completely different atmosphere with LSV with what we do, and away games, but obviously less people go to away than at home. But you get in the opportunity to watch on TV. I bet you can't wait to actually hear an atmosphere inside the stadium as opposed to an empty stadium. Yeah,
definitely. I think United fans are obviously one of the best, and I would say that because I'm a United fan as well. But I've heard a lot of interviews. Like Andy said that the new signings have obviously done their interviews. So in all of those interviews, I've seen this, that they are very appreciative of the fan support, of fans supporting the team, because obviously they have seen how good our fans are in the WSL and in the championship as well. So of course it's going to be a wonderful atmosphere. Even if I'm watching the games thousands of miles away, but the atmosphere over there in the stadium, fans chanting and supporting the players, and that's all football is about. Fans supporting the team.
Yeah, I mean, I know you say, I know you're saying, Atanu, that obviously if you say you're doing it from afar, but as I've said it previously, I'll say it again. What drew me to Manchester United women is the fact that we give the female players what they deserve. Now it's getting better. That there are louder teams now. Chelsea are a little bit louder than they used to be. There's a few others as well. Well, honestly, when we for a lot of those first games in the Championship, those players were giving their heart out, and we were giving, we were supporting them as we always do. But we saw the opposition, and you don't really care obviously as much about the opposition. But I swear to God, some of them were almost like, you know, one of the most popular chants we would do is this a library? Because no, but that's a serious point. Because, you know, I actually believe that the women deserve the same like wall of noise that Old Trafford gives the men. And I appreciate that's difficult with 77,000 versus 2,500. I'm not saying it's possible, but I'm saying in relation to what you give as a fan when you're there. And, you know, we used to go to away games and it was quiet as a mouse apart from us. It sounded like a home game, you know, just looked like we just changed the stadium for 1 week, you know. And actually, it links to what we were saying there. I actually think there's going to be more on aways this time as well. Because if you were hovering before COVID, I should have done. Maybe I'll do it. You know what? When I'm back in, you know, and hopefully that's going to make us even bigger on aways. And I think that that's going to have a massive effect. But no, I'm passionate about it because I can look those players in the eye and say, I treat you the same as the men's, and we give you the full passion, and they give the full passion as well. You know, whereas there are certain teams as well where they're just quiet, literally quiet, and if they scored, what you get is not tennis.
Absolutely. John, I'll bring you in shortly, but Andy, one of your next points was the defence, and that kind of ties in with what Atane was saying about the transfers and two of them coming into the starting lineup. So, Atane, if you want to start this one off, and then obviously John, just jump in when you're ready.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, last season we brought in players, and, you know, according to me, that's my opinion, that a lot of those players were brought in with respect to the squad depth. Because obviously we had a good starting 11, and this season, of course, we've seen many outgoings, and this happens in women's football. I've heard that there are a lot of outgoings, but now we have signed Mannion, who's obviously going to start as the centre back, and there'll be a good competition between Maria Millie and Eve Mannion, and we have signed a very good fullback as well, and you know, she straight away comes into the team, and I think. You know, these two signings, according to me, are starting 11 signings. They straight away come into the team. Boarisa is another signing that I would want to see in the starting 11. But, you know, coming back to the defense, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy that we have signed a centre back who's played in the WSL. Of course, Mannion was injured for the past few seasons, so, you know, people don't rate her very well. But previous to that, I've seen that she was considered one of the best centre backs in the league. And Hannah Blundell, because even Chelsea fans, I was talking to 2 Chelsea fans, and they said that we didn't want Hannah Blundell to leave, but she's too good to be on the bench. So that tells you that, you know, that tells you that Hannah Blundell deserves to start, and maybe at Manchester United, she and Una Bhatia can do really well on both the flanks.
What are your thoughts on that, John?
Oh, sorry. I was actually just enjoyed listening to Tanu then. I think it's interesting because I was reading Mannion and Blundell were in I think it's the 2017 Team of the Year.
PFA Young's Player of the Year, something like that. They were
together. Yeah, could be, yeah.
Which is, I think, it shows how maybe a career stalled, but also it shows that the foundation you're working with is exceptional. And that's what you want. We wanted things. It goes back. I think it goes to the point when we talked about some of my points was why I'm more excited about this season is those gaps that we actually wanted filling, we filled. You know, we wanted someone to push Mary Earps. We've got her. We wanted another a really quality attacking fullback who could do the owner job. We've got her. Yeah. We needed a better centre-back partnership from last season. We leaked too many goals. Now, I think that is actually less on Amy T and more on the fact I think Millie's form dipped, but that's why I like the fact we brought in a good coach. So build Millie back up a bit. And you've got Mannion, who I quite like the fact in her interview. I don't think she meant it in a particularly nasty way. But I think it was like quite interesting fact when the interviewer said to her was obviously she'd been injured, and she went, that's chapter's ended. I like the fact she wants to make a statement. And I think she's probably got a bit fed up with people going, oh, well,
Yeah.
you're injured, sorry. And she wants to get back and make a statement. And I like the fact she tells us to do that, because that only benefits us. I think we probably are a bit light in that department. Obviously, you've got Maria, you've got Hayley Ladd who can play there or has played there for Wales. But you've really got Mannion and Millie. And I think that, to me, is... I don't mind it for the amount of games we actually play, but it also makes me a bit nervous because Maria didn't fill me with a lot of confidence last season. She's got another 6 months under her belt. She's got more use to the club. Maybe that's more of a case of fitting in where she had to, but actually starting from scratch now for a new season. We'll see a better Maria. And obviously, Bloodell, we've said, if left more comfortable on the left means Anna can move to her favourite position on the right. That is, if they all click, practically a perfect back five. That's better than last year. And we let in stupid goals last year. If we can stop that, we've got the team that can score goals. We need to find a clinical striker. We thought we found it in Russo. We now need to find out if she can come back to a pre-injury form. So we've got that. I think we do better than last year, even though we have less stars.
Loving the positivity, John, and I really agree as well. You look at our four fullbacks. I think two of them are fantastic, and the other two are probably like some of the best, like third and fourth choice options that you can probably get for the kind of wage and the money that would cost. Two goalkeepers who could challenge each other, both capable of being our number one. Centre back position, the number 4 shirt still vacant, isn't it, I believe. So we could potentially get another centre back in, or you could potentially leave it open for a season and see if a dev could come in if we need them. Because obviously we have only got 3 centre backs. We know how that could jump in there if need be, or they could do something. But yeah, I think our defence is looking strong, and it's a good point because we did make quite a few mistakes last season. Amy Turner is still a massive loss, but she wasn't a world-class player. She had a great season. No arguments about that, but she can be replaced. But Andy, obviously, it was your topic. Do you want to finish up on this one at all, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is about defense. I mean, I've been badgering on for weeks about attack, and it's only the thing that hit me as a freight train. What I want is goals. I don't care if they buy existing players or new ones.
Yeah,
actually, that's ultimately what I think it is, and I'm hoping we're not finished with our transfers. But if we are, I would say we're now going to have a stronger defense than I would like. There's still a weaker attack than I would like. But if you're going to do one way or the other, you'd rather have it that way around, especially with a new coach. We need to make sure that we're not running out of ideas when the going gets tough, sort of 2/3 into the season, which is a lot of what happened. Is we'd go behind, we had no one on the defense on the counter because of injuries or lack of squad depth or whatever. But no, I mean, obviously, and then got mentioned the Conti Cup as well. I was just looking at our group there. We've got Durham, Everton, Leicester City, and Manchester United. Well, obviously, us being in that group, it's almost like, it's a lovely present there from the FA. I mean, I think, that's probably the strongest group out of all of them that have been drawn. Durham is not a walkover. They're basically professional nearly. I've been to Durham away. Feel like I need a medal, to be honest. It's one of the coldest places I've ever been, and both in the feelings I got when I was there, and the actual weather that was there. Leicester is obviously WSL team now. They're getting stronger. They've got Abby McManus. They've got Jess Sigsworth. They're not going to be a pushover. Everton, well, depending on time of year, Willie Kirk will probably have that postponed 55 times before we get a game. But when we finally play them, again, playing in a public park is always fun. But no, I mean, hopefully it'll be at home. But again, we can beat all those teams on our day, and it'd be interesting to see how they will take it. I mean, obviously Durham will use their top, their first 11 because they'd want to do well. but we could definitely use it as maybe as a proving ground for Sophie Bagley. We could put her in on the cup games. We could certainly give it more of our squad time to stake a claim. And it depends whether or not Mark Skinner is going to have time in pre-season, because unlike Chelsea and unlike Arsenal, I don't think we're having any pre-season games that have been announced. So I'm sure we'll do some behind closed doors, but any new manager does an evaluation of the squad, doesn't he? And really had time to do that before the end of the season, end of pre-season, start of the season rather.
Yeah, I want to bring a tournament on this because the Conti Cup I actually enjoyed it. I know some people don't, but I like the format. Well, I like the league format, and it's an extra 3 games. I know it's a bit like Marmite, you either love it or hate it. I wouldn't say I love it. But I do want to actually go to a Conti Cup final. I think, I just think it's a nice competition where you get to play, obviously, some of the weaker teams, and it's good to showcase some of those weaker teams as well in a league format. But obviously, for us, we talk about our squad depth now. It was very often the case last season under Casey that she was still playing quite a few strong players. How would you kind of go into the Conti Cup this season with some of the... If you was the manager now in the first game of the season in the Conti Cup with the squad that we've got, who would you kind of be looking at putting in there?
And I'll put Sophie Bagley in first of all, because during the initial league games, I don't think Mary Earps won't start. I think Mary Earps would start the league games. So in the cup games, you can try Sophie Bagley, and I'd give Kirsty Smith a go if she's in the squad. If she doesn't go out, which I think she won't, because she obviously featured for the photo shoot for Away Kit as well. Then I'd really like to see the likes of Tara Bone, sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name right, Tara Bone and Carrie Jones. Am I right? Yeah, those are the names, right?
Yeah.
I
think Maria Edwards on top of that as well.
Yeah, basically the Devs players, and maybe if Russo is fit, then maybe try Martha Thomas as the starting striker and see what she brings to the table.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that side question, John?
We've been a bit caught in a bit no man's land, haven't we? Because the whole focus of the club is to have got into Champions League places, and I think that means on the cup competitions where most fans and players would like to do well, the club aren't interested in that really. They want Champions League. They want to get the names, and I think the focus is because of that is much more on the league. Whereas I think making history by getting that first silverware is more important for a club like us. So I think maybe the focus has been too far into the league. I can understand why, but I actually think getting silverware is more important. And obviously Conti Cup is going to be one of the real ideal chances. So I think it's really important we put a marker down and make that history and get our first bit of silverware. And I think that's the thing you have to aim for sometimes, is if you know it's going to be a case of being too difficult to get, or too much of a challenge to get into the top 3, and it's still going to be, it's going to be a massive challenge for us, then aim for silverware. That's not a bad thing. I think there's too much put on Champions League. As somebody from the 70s and the 80s that started watching football, cup competitions, FA Cup was where our joy was. We wanted to win that.
Yeah, I think you get more enjoyment by lifting a cup. Absolutely. Just to play devil's advocate on this, I think when you do get in the Champions League, it's not a cup, but it can just draw players in, can't it? It can draw that next group of players in, and I think that's the main advantage for me. Is the fact that you get your extra bit of transfer kitty as well, and it's a big. I think we've done extra 300 grand this season, which is obviously quite a bit in the women's game. But I think the main thing for me regarding Champions League, he just invites the better players, doesn't it? But if you can actually get into Champions League without these better players and give these other players a chance to actually push forward. Andy, what's your thoughts on this? Because I think we stand a good chance of winning a cup this season. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just so glad. I'm really pleased with they got a new manager because I want to see what he's going to do with the Carling Cup compared to the FA Cup as well. Obviously, I appreciate that starts again in January and we don't know what's going to happen with COVID and all this kind of business. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, unfortunately, the Champions League, like the men's game, is like a litmus test. Once you get into the Champions League, you can attract players that wouldn't come otherwise, and that's just a fact of life that's happening in football generally. But I think, to be honest, without sounding too cocky, which is kind of why we're all here, I suppose, isn't it? You know, we're Man United and you've got that swagger, which we all like. But the Women's Champions League needs us. You know, they need a loud and proud fan base. They need a fan base that will travel as well. And actually, I think when we do make it to the Champions League, because it is a when, whether it be this season, next season, or whenever, we will get to the Champions League. I'm confident in that. Then I think it's going to, you know, set the competition up a bit again. And, you know, we'll actually improve the Champions League. But, you know, are we there next season? I don't know. I mean, if you were telling me, if you put a gun to my head and said Champions League space or Conti Cup trophy, I'd take Conti Cup trophy. But that is purely a selfish because I would like to do a final. I as a fan, I think that'd be great. I'd enjoy the day. I'd enjoy seeing somebody lift the trophy. If I was running the club or someone in the football, you would take the Champions League all day long.
I think I'd put it to anybody though. Is so you get maybe get into the Champions League for the next 10 years, just like Chelsea have done. Not win it, get no other silverware. That to me says the club has failed.
Yeah, but it wouldn't happen like
but
that.
Like you said, for the football club, they don't see it that way because that is a fan opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I know what you mean. If that did happen, then yeah. But I mean, we've just discussed how much more money you get and how easier it is to attract players if you're in the Champions League. Also, for some reason, I think the previous England manager didn't have the telephone number for United players. So with a new England manager with more international experience, you know, are we going to create our own experienced players because our own expert players are suddenly going to go elevated as well? So we could be able to do that a bit. But I think that you know, if we got Champions League year in year out, we are going to by definition get a stronger squad. And our squad's going to get better as well.
So maybe we can, you know, field a different side for a Champions League game and a different side for the Cup game.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, yeah. And that's what you might need to do with all the travelling as well. We see it in the men's game, don't we? It's very often the case where, you know, we're all United fans of the men's team. So Alex Ferguson, you know, at one point did start swapping and changing and having two teams. And he was one of the first managers to do that because we had a big enough squad. Obviously, that's a long way down the line for our women's team just yet, but I do agree with Andy. I do think it'll come eventually, and it could happen when we least expect it, i.e. maybe this season. If we just get that bit of stability at the start, and like you said, Andy, get a cup run, get that positivity going. We've got a decent run of games in the opening WSL season, so it could start off really good and really positive. What was the last point again, Andy? I'm just checking on my notes.
We kind of picked it up about Thomas. I was just saying about that little thing that I heard, and it was very subtle. But actually, I've got another thing to mention, which was I don't know if anyone's seen. I'm going to call him Manu. I can't pronounce that first name. It's really bad. I appreciate it. What was that?
Eve Mannion.
Efi, that'll do. Right. Okay. Because she has actually been interactive with fans on Twitter. How long that's going to last, I don't know. Not because I think she'd change it, but whether I think the club are going to put an end to that quite quickly. But I think you know that definitely sounds good, and good for us. Are going to be stadium based, you know, interactive with them afterwards. But yeah, I mean, like Vicky said, a lot of players are fans, and you know, none of us are football players. But you have to imagine if you're playing, you know, I know the professionals, especially in the women's game, they go through multiple clubs. But if you're playing for a club that you actually support, it's got to give you an extra percentage, hasn't it? So I'm looking forward to that. So I was really also, what I'm saying is I was also really pleased with Mannion to see her interact. And, you know, I think someone said that she'd been in social media prison and she responded and said, "I'm free now."
Oh,
which
Yeah.
is actually which was brilliant. And I swear to God, with all the stuff that United flogged, they need to get those bucket hats going, don't they? If they don't, they won't. And the Manchester United Women's Supporters Club will, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
If I can just jump on that as well, I just think that we talk about players loving the club and this, that, and the other. I do thoroughly agree with that. You know, you see Jackie Brown as well. She was a Man United fan. We mentioned a few other names as well. I just really think that if you do love that club, you will give you all no matter what. And I know as a professional, it shouldn't matter who you support or who you've grown up watching, this, that, and the other. But it's personal pride, isn't it? You don't want to leave that club, so you don't want to let the club down. You don't want to let yourself down. Once you're there, you'd like to hope that you stay there as well. And we just touched on social media at Mannion, how good she's done, and we got on social media so far. Some of my favourite players now, Mila Turner and Ella Toone. The reason why I like those two players and they've become two of my favourites is because of what they did during lockdown on Twitter. Now, obviously,
yeah, the little things they were releasing, those,
it was a few months ago now.
It was just
like a year and a half ago now, pretty much. But I'm
Yeah,
sure
and
go on, guys.
If you look at Ella Toone, if you find out what's going on with Tokyo because of the COVID regulations, they're not even though they're not allowed outside the hotel, they're not outside out their corridor. They're basically in prison, and and that must be a really difficult situation to be in as well. But she would have got some great experience from Tokyo, from the game that she has played and being around the squad. I appreciate she wasn't involved today, where Manchester City, lost in Team GB, not to be. Lost against Australia. But no, I mean, I was just going to say, you say about favourite players. My favourite players are Leah Galton and Mary Earps because of interactions I had with them and how, Leah Galton, is our best player by far outfield-wise. Mary, I actually really like her as well, and that's why it's really difficult for me to say how good Sophie Bagley is because actually without Mary, I'd be Team Bagley. But we have this is the thing with the women's game. You do get a interaction with them. You do get kind of, obviously, that connection a little bit more than with the men's. And if Mary was dropped, I'd be pretty gutted. But obviously, it might be best for the club. It might not.
I think that's a really good. Sorry, I was just going to say I think that's a really, really good point because. Me coming a bit later into the football, I haven't got the same interaction with people like Jess Seasworth and Lauren James. So them leaving didn't hit me as hard, whereas I was really committed to Amy Turner defending and everything. So I think it's really, and that's the thing. I think you'll get this more and more as more fans filter into the women's game. You'll have like the OGs where it's that core of players, but I think if you can bring in more opinion, more reasonable opinion, it stops you falling into the trap of picking the personality that you most appreciate.
And
I think that is one of the. Sorry, I was just saying, I think that's one of the good reasons that I like the fact we've got a new coach coming in. I didn't particularly want Casey to leave. I thought you could see her building something for whatever reason she did. But I like the fact now the players have got to reprove themselves.
Yeah, no, completely.
They're starting from scratch again.
You just
and I think that might kick them on.
As well. The captain is a question to you as well. I mean, I'm not one of those people that think Jackie should be de facto given it because obviously Katie has shown something to be captain. But do I think there needs to be a proper evaluation about who's going to be captain going into the first game? Yeah, because the captain has to be first on the team sheet, and if you're not, if you're on the bench, then there has to be a question there. The captain should be the first on the team sheet, and I think that's another thing we'll have to look at this season.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about some of the great captains United have had. I mean, I go back to Robbo, always first on the team sheet. Bruce, first on the team sheet. I love that guy. To me, he's like the Amy T, really underrated. by everybody except the team, and he made players play better. Eric Cantona, different sort of captain, but always on the first team. Totally agree with that.
And I am waiting to see that's our first game to see who is captain, or when we start seeing getting closer to the time when we see a few more rumours or this, that, and the other. Then I will do a proper show on a captaincy. And people have always in the comments, I'm all saying Jackie. People on Twitter, we've got Bob Reese in the comments now. Some people saying Hayley Ladd, Millie Turner. It would have been Amy Turner if she had stayed. I am waiting for the right time to do it, but it's definitely a show and waiting to happen.
I'd be really surprised if Katie Zeller isn't the captain, but I'd be interested to find out who finishes as captain. Because I think a new manager coming in, taking the captain off or stripping the captain off someone, that's a bit ballsy move, really. Not one that is always pays off.
Yeah, I think it could do more damage than good because we've spoken about it before. And like I say, I'll elaborate more on this on a separate show. But it doesn't matter who the captain is, whether it's Bob Reese, Jackie, Ladd, Millie, whoever. I would still expect them to lead the team with or without the armband. If Katie's on the pitch and the armband's been took off to somebody else, yeah, it could be a motivation for that, but it could also work the opposite way. So we spoke a little bit about the men's team in the past, but you talk about the Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, David Beckham, Andy Cole, all these lot, they're all leaders. There's only one that's got the armband, that was Roy Keane, but you're telling me that you would listen to Ryan Giggs or you would listen to any of the others, the centre backs. You wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of any of those centre backs. So to me, I do agree that the captain does need to be on the pitch, and that's going to be very difficult for Katie because she's got competition. But I'm just going to wait until let's wait for that first game of the season because it's going to be a fantastic episode when we do that show. We've got a few minutes left. We haven't really spoke too much about Martha. I wanted to see Ratanu's thoughts on Martha Thomas and maybe the rest of the signings as well that we have made.
Yeah, I mean, Martha Thomas, at this moment of time, I would prefer getting a few strikers over getting a new number 4. Because we have the depth back over there, and maybe Hayley Ladd can play as a centre back. But at the same time, I'm seeing the forward line, and we have, if we play a 4-3-3 system or a 4-2-3-1 system, we need 2 wingers. And right now, we have only 2 wingers who are Leah Galton and Kirsty Hansen. And maybe Ella Toon can play over there, but she's more of a attacking midfielder. And then we have Russo, Fuso. I don't understand what's Fuso's best position. I want to see her play more this season. So, maybe she can play as a winger or attacking midfielder. So I'm a bit skeptical about her main position. Getting to the striker position, I see only Alessia Russo, and she also has had a bit of an injury crisis. And she came on Twitter or Instagram. I saw a tweet that said that she hasn't recovered fully from her injury, and maybe we start the season with Martha Thomas. And after Martha Thomas, there's nobody. So we need a few more attacking strikers or maybe a winger. So if we have to implement a 4-2-3-1 system, if there's some other system, then I think we would be fine. Getting to the midfielder position, like we have a lot of depth in that midfield, and I think we have one of the best midfields. And I might be biased here, but I think we have quality midfielders. So of course, adding Vilde Borisa to this has been is like there are a lot of midfielders right now, and I can't actually select 3 midfielders out of them because it won't be fair to the people who are on the bench. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly just jump on this comment. Vicky's kind of stole my thunder for this show, but I absolutely agree with this. It's not just about the 90 minutes on the pitch. How do we know that when Hansen was going through a bit of a bad patch before last Christmas online, how do we know that Katie isn't the one that was offering that shoulder and giving her advice? How do we know that when Tooney, on our second season in the WSL, when she didn't play that many games because Ladd, Zellum and Jackie was getting all the game time, how do we know that it wasn't Katie that was saying to Ella, come on, keep practicing, this, that and the other? And it goes on. How do we know about, Katie could be helping them behind closed doors in their accommodation and, helping them do things away from football? We just don't know. And I've kind of just jumped off topic there. But
John, if I could say something, I think
Yeah.
if we had to, compare it with the men's team, I think Harry Maguire, the captain, got a lot of, hate and everything that he isn't vocal on the pitch. But it isn't about the being vocal on the pitch only. I mean, it is a trait, but what you do behind the curtains and behind the scenes is what matters. And I think when that Super League fiasco happened, he was the first ones to go to Ed Woodward and say, "You've got to end this."
Yeah, and then I think, to be honest, at the end of the day, we all start with the same number of points on the 3rd to the 5th of September, don't we? And yeah, maybe to support what John's saying there, we do need, we do need a fresh start, and we'll see, but hopefully, as I say, it's a nice problem to have. Our midfield's so packed. We're even questioning the captain. If it wasn't so packed, we would never have that question. Just need a few strikers, as Tanu said.
We have got to make sure that we leave on time tonight because I've got to go on another show very quickly. But John, I just want to kind of have you have the last word today because obviously this is your first time on the show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Any final thoughts at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think my biggest thing is I'm more excited about this season than I was last season. Yes, there were the bigger names, but I think we've filled so many better positions this season. The caveat is always going to be, at the moment, our strikers, because we're an injury away of having another massive crisis. So definitely probably need another striker in. I really like Martha Thomas. From what you see of her, football definitely suits us. She's much more of a mobile player than Jane Ross was. She's a quicker player. She plays across that front three, so she's not sticking to, she's not stuck to one position. So, I mean, some people are traditionalists, and I'd just like the striker to be in the box. I like the fact that you can get more interactive players, and I think totally agree that with Andy, Lear's our best forward player and probably best player on the pitch. So we need to make sure. I think we need to make sure we're getting more players in the box because I think that's one of the things, men and women's side, we've really struggled with. And I think that's where maybe Fuso comes in. I struggle with Fuso because I don't even see her threatening a goal, let alone going close. And I really want it to work because I love her attitude and that Latin samba talent she can bring, that that originality. So I really want it to work. I just haven't seen it yet, and I'm hoping that I'll be wrong with that. And we need to know that Russo's coming back the same sort of player, because if she comes back to, like I said, pre-injury form, we've got a player that, in my mind, whether she's a better player or not, will still threaten the likes of Niedermeyer for the amount of goals for her clinicalness. And I think it was maybe Nat in a previous show, she talked about we do need backup. We don't. Leah's been injured now for 3 seasons on the run, for varying times, but she's been injured, and we've always suffered from that. So we need quality backup. That's maybe Skinner coming in with different training methods will help that. But at the moment, and it's interesting again what Andy said.
I mean, to cut across you, just obviously we've got to keep it at 8 o'clock, haven't we? That's the thing for John. So
I think we need to get John back. I think we need to get John back.
But I definitely
think,
yeah.
I'm really sorry. I'm terrible when I get going.
No,
that's
it's fine. It's fine. This is what it is. This is what we're trying to generate, isn't it? Or we could all talk for England or United, so to speak.
And we can.
It's
absolutely fine. It's only because I promised to go on a different show, and I'm very grateful of the invites. But John, thank you for coming on, and thank you to everybody in the comments.
My pleasure. Thank you. I haven't dominated too much.
No, it's great to have you on, and hopefully you'll be back on very, very soon. Andy, good to see you again, mate. I'll send you a little voice note afterwards because I'm going to have to leave right now. But thank you to everybody in the comments, and we shall see you again soon.
Thank you.